rushing in. Ken's like, where am I at? Now we're waiting for you.
That was just an FYI for me. So we know where.
Okay. Thank you for rising to the Pledge of Allegiance, everyone. We'll begin. I pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection or silent prayer. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Derek, please take roll.
Mr. Betkowski. Here. Mr. Bonarotti. Here. Mr. DeMarco.
Here.
Ms. Filiaggi. Here. Mr. Fatulis.
Here.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Here.
Ms. Hallam.
Here.
Mr. Klein.
Here.
Mr. Macy.
Here.
Ms. Nacarati-Chakas.
Here.
Mr. Palmieri.
Here.
Mr. Palmasina.
Here.
Ms. Pritzio. Mr. Walton.
Here.
President Katina.
Here.
All 15 members are present.
And before we begin, I'd like to make an apology for being a few minutes late. I'm very sorry for that. Sorry to inconvenience everyone. Councilman Macy, I believe you have a statement to make, or you wanted to make a statement?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of council, and guests. On March 5th of this year, I made a statement at a council meeting which was, it harmed some people, it pushed their buttons and hurt their feelings. And that's certainly what my statement was intended for. It was part of trying to make a statement that this world should come together. Now, for any of those individuals that I harmed, I'm truly sorry. And for anybody else that may be harmed through this action, the action on March 5th, I'm very, very sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now have proclamations and certificates. 13019-24.
A proclamation declaring April 30th, 2024 to be National Therapy Animal Day in Allegheny County, sponsored by Councilmember Katina and all other members of council.
Good evening. Ms. Hanson? Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you with us.
Thanks.
I'm honored to read this proclamation on behalf of my colleagues. This is a proclamation declaring National Therapy Animal Day. Whereas there are thousands of pet partners, therapy animal teams serving in communities across the United States, and Pet Partners has designated April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day. And whereas Pet Partners therapy animal teams in Allegheny County play an essential role in improving human health and well-being through the human-animal bond. And whereas scientific research shows that interacting with therapy animals can reduce stress, relieve depression, slow heart rate, lower blood pressure, and strengthen the immune system. And whereas therapy animal teams interact with a variety of people in our community, including veterans, seniors, patients, students, and those approaching end of life. And whereas these exceptional therapy animals who partner with their human companions bring comfort, joy, and healing to all those in need. And whereas we encourage more pet owners to consider becoming pet partner volunteers to help our community by creating happier, healthier communities through greater access to safe and meaningful interactions with therapy dogs and other therapy animals. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, Allegheny County Council, President Katina, and all members of council do hereby declare April 30th, 2024 to be National Therapy Animal Day in Allegheny County, and we encourage our citizens to celebrate our therapy animals and their human handlers. In witness whereof I hereunto cause the seal of the County of Allegheny County to be affixed this 30th day of April.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you so
you.
much for being here. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. I own and operate a small business that supports older adults, individuals with disability, and children with special needs, and I'm also a licensed counselor. And I'm an empty nester this year. My daughter attends Penn State, and I was saying when she was done with school that I was going to get a therapy dog and start training it to take it out to see some of our older adult clients and our clients with severe mental health. So I've been working on that, and I joined a few organizations, and they brought this to my attention. So I love Allegheny County. I always say that our county does a really good job of supporting our older adults and people with severe mental health, more so than some of the other counties around us. So I appreciate the sensitivity and the making Pet Therapy Day this month at the end of the month as well. Thank you all.
Picture.
All right, everybody ready? Okay, ready, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Take care. Aren't you glad I got you on that band? Aren't you glad I made
13020-24.
A proclamation congratulating Mr. Jared Latshaw for being named the 2024 Big Brother of the Year, sponsored by Council Members DeMarco and Bonarotti.
We're just missing Mr. Bake.
He's here in spirit.
How's it going?
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cantita. Today, we're here to recognize the tremendous effort that Mr. Latshaw has put in and invested his time over its last 6 years, correct? Last 6 years serving with the Big Brother, Big Sisters of Pennsylvania. Today, we're recognizing that Mr. Latshaw has been named the 2024 Big Brother of the Year, and that's not just for Pittsburgh, that's for the state of Pennsylvania. So congratulations. So whereas Allegheny County is fortunate to have a number of teachers, community volunteers, and individuals who support the mentoring movement and who work selflessly to improve our children's odds for success in overcoming adversity, and whereas each year Big Brothers Big Sisters of Pennsylvania selects a deserving Big Brother who exemplifies the best of one-to-one mentoring, and whereas Big Brothers Big Sisters of Pennsylvania has selected Mr. Jared Latshaw as the 2024 Big Brother of the Year. And whereas 6 years ago, Jamari enrolled in the BBBS program as a fun, high-energy, enthusiastic boy, he had no male role model, leading to diminished social skills, not performing up to his capabilities, or even seeing his potential. His big brother, Mr. Latshaw, recognized the passion and potential in Jamari and made the commitment to do what was necessary to become a positive influence on his little brother so Jamari could reach great heights. And since being matched, Jamari has grown into a kind and respectful young man. His behavior is improving in school, and his grades have markedly improved. Jamari says, "If my mother didn't sign me up for BBBS, I would be doing a lot worse than I am now. I needed a male role model to put me on the right track and change my mindset. Mr. Latshaw took on this role, and I will always be grateful for that. He has helped me in so many ways." And whereas Mr. Latshaw fiercely advocates for Jamari and has approached their relationship with patience, enormous empathy, consistency, and humor. Mr. Latshaw has a gift to give back and wanted to make a difference on his community by being a positive male role model to those that do not have any. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, Allegheny County Council members David Bonarotti and Samuel DeMarco, do hereby congratulate Mr. Jared Lochow for being named the 2024 Pennsylvania Big Brother of the Year. We commend him for his continued dedication towards serving as a positive role model, supporting vulnerable children, and helping them succeed. In witness whereof, I have hereunto caused the seal of the County of Allegheny to be affixed this 24th day of April, 2024. Would you like to say anything? Oh, sure.
Thank you, guys. It means a lot. And yeah, growing up, I didn't have any younger siblings, and I always wanted a little brother to do things with. So that's one of the reasons why I signed up. And then, I see, unfortunately, there's a lot of young boys growing up that don't have any positive male role models, and I just want to make a difference. I think that's what the world needs right now. So, it's an honor to get recognized, and hopefully I'm making a difference. Thank you.
Sure, come on. Speech.
I don't got nothing to say.
Come up and say hello.
Yeah.
You can do it.
I don't know what to say.
Listen, you know what? You don't have to say anything other than
Just say
tell
thank you.
tell the folks what this program means to you
Yeah.
and how much Jared has been able to help.
Yeah.
This program, it means a lot to me. I was able to mature myself as a child to turn into a young man. Thank you to Mr. Jared right here. He helped me get through a lot of stuff in life, really. Just his presence in life helps me a lot, so thank you.
Oh, ready? The next one? 13021-24.
Lindsay?
That's a proclamation congratulating
You guys-
Ms. Lindsay
You
Littorini
guys
for
wanna
being
stand
named the
right there?
2024
Because afterwards, we'll get pictures taken.
Big Sister of the Year, sponsored by council members DeMarco and Fatulis.
Wherever you want to be. Okay. Welcome. Folks, you heard earlier they were joking when we talked about we're honoring big brothers and big sisters today. We were talking about Tom Baker. Tom Baker was a former councilman for District 1 for at least 8 years, okay, and was a community affairs officer with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. But more than that, I mean, he was the big brother to numerous little brothers over the years. And I can't tell you, knowing him, what a great difference he made in so many young men's lives. So that's why we really appreciate what you folks have done here in stepping up and volunteering and giving of your time to help our youth here in Allegheny County. So whereas Allegheny County is fortunate to have a number of teachers, community volunteers, and individuals who support the mentoring movement and who work selflessly to improve our children's odds for success in overcoming adversity. And whereas each year, Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Pennsylvania selects a deserving big sister who exemplifies the best of one-to-one mentoring. And whereas Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Pennsylvania has selected Miss Lindsay Littorini as the 2024 Big Sister of the Year. Did I pronounce that right, Lindsay? Okay. Wow, that's the point. Whereas entering their 8th year together, Ms. Littorini and her little sister Sarah first met during Sarah's 6th grade year when she was a shy, introverted, bullied middle schooler. Their match experience eventually grew into mutual trust, respect, friendship, and a genuine love for each other. Today, Sarah is a vibrant, outgoing, caring college student focused on her future plans. Whereas Sarah is excited about her future and believes that she would not be where she is today without the influence of Ms. Littorini. Becoming a part of BBBS has inspired Sarah to attend college, and experiencing the commitment and devotion of Ms. Littorini as her big sister makes her want to help others each day. And whereas being matched to Sarah has also impacted Ms. Littorini in many ways, namely making her feel as though she matters and is making a difference in Sarah's life. Sarah's continued interest in spending time with Ms. Littorini after 7 years reinforces the idea of making a difference and appreciates the investment in their friendship. Ms. Littorini knows it is the time spent together that makes the biggest impact on Sarah and her future goals. Now, therefore, be resolved, and that we, Allegheny County Council members, David Bonarotti and Sam DeMarco, do hereby congratulate Miss Lindsay Littorini for being named the 2024 Pennsylvania Big Sister of the Year. We commend her for her continued dedication towards serving as a positive role model, supporting vulnerable children, and helping them succeed. And also, the Councilman Nick Fitolis,
is also part of this as well. In witness thereof, I have hereunto caused the seal of the County of Allegheny to be affixed this 24th day of April, 2024. Thank you so much for everything that you folks are doing. Speech.
I just want to say thank you for this honor. It's incredibly important that I'm recognizing Jared and Jamari for their success as well. Full circle moment. I worked for Big Brothers Big Sisters in 2016, which is how I first learned of the program and how I got involved, and matched Jared and Jamari, and I think that's a really cool moment to stand here next to them. And Sarah and Jamari have kind of grown up in this program together. We've had a lot of fun times at the different things that Big Brothers and Big Sisters offers, and we're incredibly grateful for that. And I think it's just really neat to see the evolution of our friendships and that they're still interested in hanging out with us all these years later. And they have so many other things they could choose to do. So it's just an honor to be recognized here and stand here with our littles today. So I think you have a chance to say something.
Sarah's turn.
I really appreciate having Lindsay as my big sister for so many years. I wouldn't be going to college if it wasn't for her helping me through high school and middle school and still helping me to this day. I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me, and yeah. It's a really
I just want to add one thing, too. We have their parents in the room, and I think it would be remiss to not recognize them because they're an important role in this. So, Cindy, Jamari's mom.
We're going to take pictures, right? So I'd like the parents to come up as well to be here with the kids, okay?
Yes.
We have two of these, so we have one for, I guess, one for both of you, I guess. Okay.
All right.
That's true. Let's go up here and get the pictures.
Oh.
No, not.
I want to make it so you can't see Bob. Now behave, children. We did arm wrestle. All right, everybody, right now. One time.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. You get one more. 1, 2, 3. Gotcha.
Is someone photoshopping Baker in? We keep the ball back in. Oh, Bob. Okay. Oh, Bob. Be serious.
Okay, you're right. 13022-24.
A proclamation recognizing Women's Law Project upon the occasion of their 50th anniversary, sponsored by council members Katina, Betkowski, Hallam, Grisbeck, and Pritzio.
President Katina, may be added to that.
Yeah. Anyone else want to be added?
Yes, I would like.
Anyone not want to be added? Let's go ahead and add everybody then.
I actually want to get on all of them.
Add Nick to all of them.
I would like to as well.
Does anyone
Does
object
everybody
to
want to
being
co-sponsor?
on all of them?
Yes.
No. Put us all on all of them.
All.
On all of what? Ready? Okay. I am so excited to have Simone here to celebrate the Women's Law Project, and I'm going to read this proclamation and hope that you'll say a few words after. Okay. A proclamation recognizing Women's Law Project's 50th anniversary. Whereas, founded in 1974, Women's Law Project is a nonprofit public interest legal organization working to defend and advance the rights of women, girls, and LGBTQ+ people in Pennsylvania and beyond. And whereas Women's Law Project uses an intersectional analysis to prioritize work on behalf of people facing multiple forms of oppression based on race, gender, sex, ethnicity, class, disability, incarceration, pregnancy, and immigration status. And whereas whereas having a focus centered on Pennsylvania sets Women's Law Project apart from other nonprofit legal organizations working on gender-related issues. Women's Law Project leverages impact litigation, policy advocacy, public education, and direct assistance and representation to dismantle discriminatory laws, policies, and practices, and eradicate institutional biases and unfair treatment based on sex or gender. And whereas Women's Law Project believes reproductive freedom is the keystone to their work, and they seek equitable opportunity in many arenas, including healthcare, education, athletics, employment, public benefits, insurance, and family law, and seek justice for survivors of gender-based violence. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, Allegheny County Council members, all of us, do hereby recognize Women's Law Project upon the occasion of their 50th anniversary and recognize their tireless efforts to leverage the power of the law to eliminate gender bias and discrimination. In witness whereof, I have hereunto caused the seal of the County of Allegheny to be affixed this 24th day of April 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hollum and the entire Council of Allegheny County for recognizing the Women's Law Project's 50th anniversary and recognizing the half-century of, as you stated, tireless efforts to eliminate gender bias and discrimination. As most of us understand intimately, the work we do is not always linear. Sometimes the greatest battle is maintaining the persistence toward and urgency towards liberation. 50 years has given us the gift of time to build endurance and longevity, to defend and advance reproductive rights, to right the wrongs of our opponents, and to lay the groundwork for future accomplishments. If I am to speak of longevity and endurance, I should mention a case that spans decades, almost the entirety of WLP's lifespan. In 1971, Pennsylvania became the first state to protect against sex-based discrimination under an Equal Rights Amendment. 3 years later, the Women's Law Project was founded. In a 1985 court case, Pennsylvania's Supreme Court upheld a Medicaid ban on abortion, a decision that has prevented us from using the Equal Rights Amendment to challenge abortion restrictions as sex and gender-based discrimination for nearly 4 decades. In 2019, WLP filed to overturn the Medicaid ban, and in 2024, we won. The court overturned the 1985 decision and in turn reinvigorated our Equal Rights Amendment. It has taken a truly formidable team of dedicated people to get us this far. So I'd like to thank our leadership, past and present, our current staff and former staff who remain our colleagues even beyond the walls of our organization. Thank you to the volunteer attorneys, undergrad interns, law students, and legal fellows who have helped us along the way. And thank you to our clients who have trusted us with your stories. You all have endured alongside us as colleagues, friends, and supporters. It is you who have propelled us forward for 5 decades so that we may celebrate a 50th anniversary and hopefully many more. Thank you.
Yeah. Come on up.
All right, everybody. Ready? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Gotcha.
13023-24.
A proclamation recognizing Boom Concepts upon the occasion of their 10th anniversary, sponsored by Councilmember Hallam and all other members.
Come on down. Baby's always welcome. You guys ready? Yeah? Good. So, speaking of anniversaries, Boom Concepts has a big one this year. We're here celebrating their 10th anniversary. I'm a big fan of the work that yins do, especially your tireless advocacy for keeping money for local artists and for supporting our local artists. That means so much to me and a lot of people I really care about, so I just wanted to personally thank you all for everything you do. But all of council wants to celebrate you as well, so I will get into the proclamation. This is a proclamation recognizing the 10th anniversary of Boom Concepts. Whereas Boom Concepts is a creative hub dedicated to the advancement of Black, brown, queer, and femme artists. Boom Concepts is located in Pittsburgh's Garfield neighborhood, and since its founding has curated more than 50 exhibitions on site, paid out over $216,000 in artist fees, and produced over 200 events across the country. And whereas established in 2014 by D.S. Kinsel and J. Thomas Agnew with the support of Rick Schwartz of the Bloomfield Garfield Corporation and a collaboration effort with Rob Stephanie of the Heinz Endowment and Justin Lang of Hilombo, Boom Concepts is dedicated to the development of underrepresented artists and creative entrepreneurs. And whereas their vision centers on creating spaces for Black, brown, queer, and femme individuals, fostering open and rigorous dialogue that evolves into dynamic learning exchanges across communities, laying the foundation for more just actions. And whereas Boom Concepts offers artist studios across Pennsylvania's neighborhoods, spaces, and resources catered to each artist's creative and professional goals, and hosts events such as film screenings, community meetings, music performances, dance parties, and fundraisers. And whereas Boom Concepts serve as a space for field building, knowledge sharing, mentorship, and storytelling. In its 10th year, Boom Concepts continues to work with creatives to find innovative strategies around entrepreneurship and artistic practice. Now, therefore, be it resolved that all of council do hereby recognize Boom Concepts upon the occasion of their 10th anniversary and recognize their dedication to the development of artists and creative entrepreneurs representing marginalized voices. In witness whereof, I have hereunto caused the seal of the County of Allegheny to be affixed this 24th day of April, 2024. Congratulations.
You want to say something first? I've been talking. I want to say thank you to the council. Thank you to the city of Pittsburgh, the arts ecosystem for supporting us for a very long time. It's been great for us to do this work in Garfield. We have here with us Jules Malice and Devon Rogers, my partner here, D.S. Kinsel. But it's been great to do this work to support artists. It's so important to make sure that they have sustainable income. A lot of small arts organizations are well underfunded, and we want to make sure that we support them in any way that we can. We are ourselves a small arts organization. I mean, these people right here is who you see do all this work over the past 10 years. But we also want to make sure that we support people that look like us. And, when we were younger, we wanted to make sure that we had the support. And so we want to reflect that into the arts ecosystem now.
Hey, I'm D.S. Kinsel. I just want to say thank you to Councilwoman Hallam and to the entire county council. This is really important. My family has been in this region for over 100 years, so I thought it would be cool to bring my son down here. Over the past 10 years and much longer, Thomas and I have been supporting artists and creative entrepreneurs, and we really believe arts and culture are not only a way of translation, but a way to support the local economy here in this region. So just thank you. We have a lot of good things happening this year, and please not let this be your only time knowing about Boom Concepts.
There we go. All right, everybody ready? All right, ready? 1, 2. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Got you guys. Cool.
hasn't been able to do
Now he's smiling.
Your remaining proclamations will be read into the record. 13024.
Mr. President, Jared, could you please then add me as a sponsor to the last proclamation here on Autism Acceptance Month, if Mr. Grisbeck is okay with that?
Yep, I think we're adding to all that.
Okay. Thank you.
13024-24 is a proclamation declaring April 28, 2024 to be Workers' Memorial Day in Allegheny County, sponsored by Councilmember Paul Messina and all other members of council.
13025-24.
A proclamation proclaiming April 2024 is Arab American Heritage Month in Allegheny County, sponsored by Councilmember Grisbeck and all members of council.
13026-24.
A proclamation proclaiming April 2024 is Autism Acceptance Month in Allegheny County, sponsored by Councilmember Grisbeck and all members of council.
We'll now have public comment on agenda items.
We have a number. First up are Jean Corey, Eliana Sharbaji, Ali Assad, Khadija Daluli, and Aya Sazuni.
I'll go first again. Council members,
State your name for the record, I'm sorry.
before I do that, is it illegal to not mention my real address?
Just state your name for the record.
Okay, my name is Iyas Azuni. The reason I don't want to state my address is because since a month and some ago, Mr. Macy made some Islamophobic comments, and since then, I've been a target of a defamation campaign. Another person from the community had Child Protective Services called at him, so that, and they didn't find anything, of course, but it is a risk that Muslims are taking right now in the climate that Mr. Macy created. And in addition to that, last week, the mosques in Allegheny County and Monroeville and Pittsburgh, North Hills, they've been all receiving threatening letters. And I'm shocked that instead of fostering unity in our community, that we are even considering Mr. Macy for a position such as the Southern Pennsylvania Commission. I think everybody has prejudices, and I don't think Mr. Macy is inherently a bad person. I think that the prejudices that he has have come outside without being thought through. But that begs the question, are these prejudices going to come up when monetary incentives are distributed? Are we going to see something like Muslim neighborhoods not getting the same attention as non-Muslim neighborhoods? It's very hard as a Muslim to be attacked for just being a Muslim. And I don't think that incendiary language helps anybody in Allegheny County. Please refuse the appointment of Mr. Macy. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ali Assad. I'm from the South Hills in Lebanon. Good evening. I'm here today to honor my grandmother, believe it or not, who's a mean, tough, sweet lady, but I love her. Her name was Aziza. She was a strong Palestinian woman, a strong woman, and a strong human being. Though she passed away, I am never without her. Along with my faith in God, I take my grandmother wherever I am. She came to this country in the 1960s for a better life with my grandfather and their 10 children. She took English classes at night so she can help us navigate in this new world so that we can take advantage of every opportunity. And she never backed away from the challenge. And always, always, always stood against injustice. She loved Palestine all the more for that reason. And she passed these traits along to her some 200 grand and great-grandchildren, who are now great community leaders. And we have some of the most kindest and most respectful kids, all because of her. We are doctors, we are teachers, we are pharmacists, business owners, everything you can imagine. We are positive contributors to our America. There is no better person for me to talk about today in light of this council's failure to pass a ceasefire motion for the people of Gaza and Israel. She would want us all to speak up. In this room tonight, I see my grandmother's vision for us to be vocal advocates opposing any suffering and any inequity. And the people behind me today, my grandmother would be proud of you. I am proud of you, proud of this city, because you chose not to remain silent. And what you show us is that when atrocities happen in this world, it's not because people were not against it. It's because some people, like some of you on this council, chose to let them happen, which tells us that you can't keep serving, and so we're either gonna move you with our talk, or we're gonna remove you. We'll run against you, and we will take your seats, and we will build a better America. And I know that we're not alone. We have some fearless leaders here locally and abroad. We have people like Cori Bush and Summer Lee, who won a historic election last night because she is authentic and principled and cares about the values of every human life from Pittsburgh to Palestine. And we know where the tide is going. It's on the side of human good. And so I leave you with this. You are either with us or you are against us, and we will not remain silent.
Thank you. Irene? Not here. Brian? Oh, Irene?
Irene?
Irene.
Yeah. Over 200 people signed the petition that we created to stop Bob Macy from being appointed. And today, some people here have and will give many reasons as to why Macy is unfit to be on the SPC. It could either be because he's anti-trans, pro-fracking, and the racism and suspicion towards immigrants. But ultimately, I think it boils down really to the fact that his views are not really progressive and extremely outdated. In the review commission meeting in relation to this council meeting, Macy said his primary focus being on the SPC has been about transportation. This is a big problem because in this county, racism has always been a part of the transportation system here. The country's health, this county's health department literally quotes, "They identified the interrelated issues of food deserts and transportation. It's two of the most important areas for addressing the human rights to adequate nutrition for the region's residents." So, you know, a lot of people might think that we're like snowflakes getting angry at him for saying those racist comments, but the people who are being affected by transportation issues, which are causing these food deserts, are marginalized communities like POC, immigrants, and indigenous people. And honestly, I didn't even write this, but if you were to ask my parents as well why they came here, it's not because of some hidden agenda. The agenda is clear: to give me a better life. And I've been living here for over 15, 18 years. I went to college here. I try to be involved with the community here. And I think I've also volunteered also with to house this population and communities where you can see clearly that they're not getting the transportation funds they need. They're getting gentrified, and rich people and sorry to say that, but like white people are getting like special treatment, you know, and having someone who has that power, because I'm just a normal citizen, of course I'm gonna be angry about that. So yeah, that's why I think that him being on the SPC and continuing that is would set us back, because his static and racist views will deter the progress of Allegheny County's diverse community. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian?
Hey, Council. This is Brian Knuckles. I live in Wilkinsburg. I'm here to oppose Bob Macy's appointment to the SPC board. My comment is mostly unprepared. Today I agree with what I've been hearing from fellow commenters, but I really want to focus on the issue of vision, progressive positive vision. Transportation and infrastructure are huge issues in our community. Pittsburgh is known now for sinkholes and crumbling bridges. This has happened during Councilperson Macy's tenure on the SPC. We're lucky, though, we're fortunate that we have a rich higher education and infrastructure, people in urban planning doing a lot of interesting research on progressive, climate-friendly, green transportation and infrastructure. And I'm calling on y'all to start the search again, to look for new blood, new vision for Allegheny County infrastructure and transportation. So that's my first point, is progressive vision for infrastructure and transportation. And the SPC board is a really powerful institution where we can progress for the people of Allegheny County. I also want to bring up the topic of democracy. Over the last months, we've had unprecedented amounts of public comment, people getting involved. Frankly, the council's response to that has been extremely disappointing. We've been silenced, told that decorum is more important than democracy, disrespected at every turn. And we'd really, I speak for myself, I'd really like to open a new chapter of public participation. This board could be a new opportunity for us to meet with your constituents, to get suggestions for who should sit on this board. Got a lot of people who want to be engaged, and hope that door is open for y'all. And I'll end my comment there and cede my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey?
Hello, Council. My name is Corey Roma. I'm a resident of Crafton Borough, and I rise today to speak in opposition to the appointment of Bob Macy to the SPC. I and many others present here were in attendance at the March 5th meeting, where Mr. Macy espoused unprompted and deeply racist, xenophobic, and offensive remarks against our immigrant community, remarks for which I appreciate you apologizing, but you're only doing it because your nomination's on the ballot today. You've had a month and a half to say something, and just now you choose to say something. I'm sorry, but it's too little, too late. You know, instead of censuring and condemning him, we're here discussing reappointing him to one of the region's most powerful agencies. How could you possibly fathom rewarding someone who spoke such hateful rhetoric? Think of the message that you'd be sending to our immigrant neighbors by making such a move, or to the immigrants who are considering making this county, a county which the Center for Immigration Studies has designated a sanctuary county, their permanent home. By confirming this nomination, you will be effectively co-signing Mr. Macy's racist behavior and sending the message that hate towards immigrants, hate towards the immigrant community that built this region and nation doesn't get called out but promoted. With me is my friend Brian, who will now hand the clerk copies of a petition signed by over 240 constituents and organizations like Casa San Jose and the Sunrise Movement Pittsburgh, urging county to reject this nomination. In conclusion, I appeal to you all to vote down this nomination and reaffirm the message that we in Pittsburgh are stronger than hate, and relegate Bob Macy and his racism and xenophobia into the trash bin of history where it belongs. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nithin Raghunathan. I'm from District 13, downtown Pittsburgh. I'm here to oppose Bob Macy's reappointment to the SPC. As as has been brought up, he made some racist comments back on March 5th saying that immigrants come here potentially with the right papers and may have come here legally, but may have a hidden agenda. I just want to point out how odd it is that this many people are actually showing up to a county council meeting. I mean, before 6 weeks ago, I doubt many people ever showed up to these meetings. So the fact that at least a dozen people are here today just to oppose one man's nomination to the SBC is kind of incredible and shows you how opposed the county is to this kind of racism governing us through our institutions. You know, I don't think this is a man that we can trust in one of these institutions. I know someone mentioned that this institution is really big on transportation. I don't trust him on our boards. I don't really trust him on our roads either, given the DUI he had back in 2012. I don't really trust him. You know, he doesn't really seem to have any regard for immigrants in this community, other drivers in this community, people of color in this community. So I don't really see why this man needs to be reappointed to the SPC. He's been problematic for a long time. He's been, frankly, a dinosaur on this board for a long time and a dinosaur in his community for a long time. And I think it's time we thoroughly rebuke this man and everything he stands for. Thank you.
I am Josh Thieler from the North Hills. I'm speaking on behalf of Tanisha.
Dental surgery is not working.
Members of council, I'm here today to strongly oppose the appointment of unapologetic bigot Bob Macy to the SBC board. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I believe that some council members may be here with hidden agendas. In the case of Bob Macy, that agenda is to codify their xenophobic and racist beliefs into county policies that affect the lives of our residents. A late apology right before a vote is not an apology. An apology is changed behavior, and your decision to wait until you had something to lose is proof that you have not changed your behavior. I'm sorry you were offended is not taking responsibility. The correct words are, I'm sorry I said something deeply ignorant and offensive. Do better. During the appointment hearing, 4 members of council voted against negatively recommending Bob Macy, voicing their support for their councilman. Sam DeMarco, who spent his week targeting a black nonprofit due to his inability to differentiate a C3 and a C4, Suzanne Filiaggi, and John Palmieri. And lastly, Bob Macy, who voted to protect himself. While these votes are shameful, they are unsurprising. I come to you today as a black woman who understands that comments like Bob Macy's are not just racist dog whistles, they are blaring calls to action. When a council member feels comfortable enough to express these beliefs in a public setting, they are comfortable enough to act on them. We have seen this before when it comes to votes on housing, minimum wage, and of course, the ceasefire resolution. This behavior is not out of character for Bob Macy. He's on record making transphobic comments claiming that protecting trans kids would lead to Kris Jenner being able to compete against women. Kris is already a woman, but sure. At a meeting about the unhoused, he asked if they were grateful enough to deserve shelter. Voting to appoint Bob Macy is voting to endorse his bigotry, and I'm asking County Council to do the only correct thing and vote no on this negatively recommended council member.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Not here. Sam Schmidt. Not here. Kenneth Moster. Not here. Mike Stoll. Here. Mike.
Hello, everyone. I haven't been here in a while. As you know, I've been a little busy with the appeals, but my name is Mike Sully. I live in the South Hills, Scott Township, and I think there's an important vote tonight regarding a word that is not music to our ears, reassessment. Right? I was part of the oversight in 2001 and 2012 of the reassessments. And ugly. It's like a military operation, 600,000 properties. We have to go out and look at every property before we even decide what the values are. So I'm here, there are two issues. One, that hopefully you'll vote yes on tonight, is what you will do hiring the chief assessor. At the present time, the county executive has the say-so, and that's the way it's been for 24 years. And what I'm saying is, we had an election last night, and you were elected to be active and not to be participants in this process. There's a lawsuit going on. There's a movement to have a reassessment, and I consider that aspirational at this point, but the judge will come down. What it really comes down to, and I've been in court 27 years on these reassessment issues, you have the judge, and it's almost like going into receivership when a judge takes over the assessment office. And then the judge doesn't want to talk to you, doesn't want to talk to the county executive, the lawyers. The judge only wants to talk to the chief assessor. And your vote tonight, you're saying we want to be part of this process. I have in my notes, as you know, I don't read a lot from notes, but I have had the pleasure of working with, in one capacity or another, all 7 chief assessors: George Donatello, Sue Case, Deb Bunn, Ed Schoenberger, Wes Graham Dehennon, and Lou Fabian. And I'm just going to end it with, I hope the vote is yes tonight. Just make sure that the next chief assessor for Allegheny County has the professional credentials and has a few countywide reassessments in her belt. You never know what might happen next. Please vote yes on the chief assessor bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel Reed. Nathaniel Kelly. John Silvestri. Deron Gillian.
Theron Gilliland Jr. of Allegheny Center on the north side. Quote, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but on the other hand, here we have a situation where people in this country may have come here legally, may have had all the right papers, but have came with a hidden agenda. This isn't a slip of the lip. This is a point of view. It came from the heart when it was spoken, and we all heard it. Half-assed apology 7 weeks later before an important vote is not an apology at all, especially when the apology is for how people felt about it, not for the statement itself. The Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission is supposed to direct the use of state and federal transportation and economic development funds allocated to the region, and we cannot trust Bob Macy to do that without some sort of conspiracy theory in his head. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Savickas. When I retired 12 years ago as a financial advisor from Morgan Stanley, there were a few things I wanted to do. I wanted to volunteer at Phipps Conservatory, which I do. I wanted to join the South Park Garden Club, again, which I did. I wanted to help plant the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, and most importantly, I wanted to try and bring back Stone Man's. For those of you that are from the South Hills, Stone Man's was a 3-pool thing that we could swim in as children. And I will tell you that as a child, I spent a lot of time there. I began attending meetings of the Friends of South Park in 2016, and I learned then that Allegheny County Foundation, the Allegheny County Parks Foundation, was working on refurbishing these pools, and believe me, I was excited. I helped with meetings, I helped with fundraisers, and anything else that needed done in the Friends of South Park. As I became more involved, I began to notice that slowly people started leaving the organization. Didn't understand. Then in 2020, we were told that all activities of all friends groups were going to be suspended by council as you decided our fates. Apparently, there was a member of the North Hills Friends of South Park who believed that his membership gave him the ability to chop down trees. We didn't have anything. We didn't have anything like that in South. When council passed Bill number 118 80-21, the new ordinance governing the Council of Friends in each of the 9 parks, we were all asked to appear before council and answer a few questions. Bethany, you remember you were asking the questions. I sent each of you Mrs. Adams' response to that request. It seemed a very innocuous request to come and please talk about why you want to be on the Friends of South Park. In case you don't remember the copies that I sent all of you, there's one quote that I think, this is from Mrs. Sharon Adams, who is currently available. It says, "I refuse to be interrogated by a committee who had no idea of what we did all this year." So all the things that she listed, Friends were done by people on the committee and her. And I'm out of time. Am I out of time? No, okay. She listed all the things that were accomplished by her and by many other people on the committee, but she didn't happen to mention that they were mentioned by the other people on the committee. Unfortunately, many members of the committee, as well as those belonging to the park staff and the Park Foundation, have had difficulty working with Mrs. Adams. I understand that the parks director told his staff that they were not to listen to her, but to their supervisors when he found out that she was directing people in the staff. This is not what Friends of South Park, you appointed us to do. I feel very strange reporting these actions to you, but I feel that I understand that Mrs. Adams has applied again to be on the committee. That's definitely my thing. Anyway, okay, has applied to be in the committee, and I am just asking you to currently to not accept her and put her back on the committee. We have 2 very wonderful new gentlemen, Jake Riley, a young man in his 30s who lives in Bethel Park and comes to us from the Friends of the National Zoo, and Larry Cardillo, who brings lots of contacts with organized labor to get things done in the park. I ask you to consider their nominations as opposed to Mrs. Adams. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now have approval of minutes, 13018-24.
A motion to approve the minutes of the March 19th, 2024 regular meeting of council.
So moved. Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Aye. Motion carries. For presentation of appointments, all of the presented appointments are referred to the Committee of Appointment Review, and I'd like the clerk to read them all at this point in time. But before we begin, I want to verify that these appointments are actually all correct, because I know over the past few weeks, there's been some confusion over reappointments versus appointments and what have you. And I just want to, before I send any of these to committee, I want to make sure they're 100% accurate. So can we testify to the fact that they're 100% accurate? Yes, they are? Okay. Jared, please read them.
13003-24 is approving the reappointment of Bernadette Finke to the Friends of the Park for South Park for a term to run through July 6, 2027, sponsored by Councilmember Grisbeck. 13004-24 is approving the reappointment of Angela Sue Zemba to the Friends of the Park for South Park for a term to run through July 6, 2027, sponsored by Councilmember Grisbeck. 13005-24 is approving the appointment of Corey Seymour to the Friends of the Park for Heartwood Acres for a term to run through April 24th, 2027, sponsored by Councilmember Klein. 13006-24 is approving the reappointment of Richard Snipe to the Board of Property Assessment Appeals and Review for a term to run through June 30th, 2027, sponsored by Councilmember Walton. All of the remaining appointments are to the MWDBE Advisory Board, sponsored by the Chief Executive for terms running through December 31st, 2028. 13008-24 is for Barada Bay. 13009-24 is for Blair I. Britton. 13010-24 is for Brian Burley. 13011-24 is for Camille Williams. 13012-24 is for Guillermo Vasquez. 13013-24 is for Kanak Iyer. 13014-24 is for Melanie Marie Boyer. 13015-24 is for Roxanne Sewell. 13016-24 is for Tim Stevens. And finally, 13017-24 is for Victoria Snyder.
Thank you. We'll now have unfinished business. Committee on Appointment Review for the second reading, 12957-24.
Approving the appointment of Sharon Adams to the Friends of the Park South Park for a term to be effective through March 19th, 2027, sponsored by Councilmember Palmieri.
Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus?
Yes, President Katina, I just wanted to note that all of these on the agenda this evening went before the Committee on Appointment Review on April the 17th, 2024. This one was affirmatively recommended for Ms. Adams to the Friends of the Parks, South Park.
So is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded.
Point of order,
Go ahead.
President Katina, I'd like to ask for a roll call vote on this one, please.
Okay. Roll call vote, please, Jared.
Excuse me, is there going to be any discussion?
Oh, we can have discussion. I'm sorry. Yeah, we can have discussion. Of course, Councilman Bukowski. Go ahead.
Actually, I was hoping that my colleague might have some information to share.
Go ahead, Councilman Griswold.
Sure. So, I mean, I think we heard the comments that, Mrs. Zavigas shared with us, and obviously I think those are a bit alarming, especially, someone choosing to direct county employees to take action certainly falls outside of the purview of the Friends of South Park. I also had several other members of the Friends of South Park who either were unable or just not comfortable coming in front of all of council today, reach out to me individually and share relatively similar stories. Obviously, all of you received the email from Mrs. Zavigas for the reason of not applying for reappointment for Mrs. Adams. And for those of you who attended the meeting on appointment review, you may recall that I asked about the reason for not reapplying because I knew that Mrs. Adams had served on that board previously and was the chair. Those of you who were there know that the reason that we were given is not the reason that was shared in that email. So for the kind of improper relations with county employees, very terse relationships with her fellow board members, as well as kind of a lack of forthcoming in her answers for appointment. I would not have voted in favor of her like I did during that, and I will be voting against her appointment here.
Thank you. Any other comment this evening? Hearing none, Jared, please take the roll call vote.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Betkowski.
No.
Mr. Bonarati.
No.
Mr. DeMarco.
No.
Ms. Filiaggi. Mr. Fatulis.
I'm going to vote yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
No.
Ms. Hallam.
No.
Mr. Klein.
No.
Mr. Macy.
No.
Ms. Nakaradi Chapkus.
No.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes.
Mr. Palmasina.
No.
Ms. Pritzio.
No.
Mr. Walton.
No.
President Katina.
No.
Ayes 2, noes 13, the motion fails.
12958-24.
Approving the appointment of Daniel Connolly to the Allegheny County Airport Authority for a term effective through December 31st, 2029, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Thank you. Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, as noted, the Committee on Appointment Review met on April the 17th, 2024, and affirmatively recommended Mr. Connolly. I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Do we need a roll call on this, or is a voice vote fine? Looks like a voice vote's fine. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 12959-24.
Approving the reappointment of Darren Kelly to the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority for a term effective through December 31st, 2029, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, the committee met and affirmatively recommended Mr. Kelly to this position. I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Anyone object to a voice vote? Okay, voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 12960-24.
Approving the reappointment of Paul Klein to the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority for a term effective through December 31st, 2029, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Thank you. Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, the committee met and affirmatively recommended Councilmember Klein to this authority, and I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Councilman Bukowski.
Thank you, President Katina. Everyone here believes in representative government. It is one of the founding principles of our republic. And yet on this board, the suburban ratepayers are left without a voice. That is wrong. Many of you have heard me tell this story. When I was working, I would meet with folks on their first day to tell them that the most important thing they could do for me was to have the courage to tell me when I was wrong. This is a mistake. And we know that because the county executive has promised an Allegheny County for all. The executive would never intentionally exclude any group from being represented. So I ask all of my colleagues to look within themselves for the grace to allow the executive a second chance, a redo, if you will, an opportunity to correct what is so clearly a gross injustice.
Thank you. Any other comment this evening? Hearing no other comment, does anyone object to well, actually, we're going to do a roll call vote on this one because I believe there's going to be an abstention. So, Jared, please take a roll call vote.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Betkowski.
No.
Mr. Bonarotti.
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
I will be abstaining.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nacarati Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Messina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio.
Yes.
Mr. Walton.
Yes.
President Katina.
Yes.
Ayes 13, noes 1 with 1 abstention. The motion passes.
12961-24.
Approving the appointment of Diamante Walker to the Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County for a term effective through April 9th, 2029, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, the committee met and affirmatively recommended Ms. Walker to the Redevelopment Authority. I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Motion has been made. Second. Any discussion? Anyone object to a voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. 12962-24.
Approving the reappointment of Dusty Elias Kirk to the Regional Asset District Board for a term effective through December 31st, 2028, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, the committee met and affirmatively recommended Mr. Kirk to the Regional Asset District Board, and I'd like to make that motion.
Second. Motion has been made and second. Is there any discussion? Anyone object to a voice vote? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 12963-24.
Approving the appointment of Monica Malik to the Regional Asset District Board for a term effective through December 31st, 2028, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, the committee met and affirmatively recommended Ms. Malik to the Regional Asset Board, and I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Is there any discussion? Anyone object to a voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 12964-24.
Approving the appointment of Jesse Durena to the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission for a term effective through December 31st, 2028, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, the committee met and affirmatively recommended Mr. Durena to this position, Southwest PA Commission. I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Anyone object to a voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 12965-24.
Approving the reappointment of Robert Macy to the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission for a term effective through December 31st, 2028, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, the committee met and negatively recommended Mr. Macy to this position on the Southwest PA Commission.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion? Councilmember Futulis.
I'd like to start by saying that the beginning of this meeting, Mr. Macy had made an apology for what had happened in the past, and some people accepted it, some didn't. We've all made mistakes in our life. I can't count the number of times I've made mistakes. And you have to learn to forgive people sometime. Forgiveness is a part of life, I've learned, to forgive people. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I forgave DeWitt Walton for
for what he said to me many times. I forgive you, DeWitt. Just want you to know that I forgive you. And I think it's an easy thing to say to people that you can forgive people. I forgive you, Bethany, for things you say to me. Heck yeah, sure I do. I forgive people because I've learned that you have to forgive people in life, and we all make mistakes. And I think it would be a tragedy if we don't have a representative on this council to keep us informed as to what's going on in this county. Not everybody may believe in that, but that's what I believe in, and I believe everybody should have a second chance. I think a lot of people in the audience may believe that as well. We've all had second chances in life and made mistakes. If anybody in this room is perfect, you just let me know, but because I know I'm not. Tanisha, she's perfect. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Next, anyone else? Councilman DeMarco?
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, when I had the opportunity to review the transcripts that was sent from the minutes that had been captured by the reporter in here, I'm looking at this, and you had Mr. Macy made his comment, but right after he said hidden agenda, there was an outburst in the crowd. You, the president of council, attempted to bring things under control. You asked for folks to be respectful. Please be respectful. Mr. Macy tried to continue. And again, because of the outburst in the crowd, you again implored the folks that were here. You asked them, you said you didn't want to make them, you didn't want people to be forced out of the room. But if you carry on, I mean, you can't have it. Who here has not been making extemporaneous comments at some point, you know, here, and then when interrupted, you lose your train of thought, okay, or fail to be able to carry on with what it was you were trying to say. So we don't know what Mr. Macy was going to say next because you didn't get the opportunity to do that. We heard from a number of public speakers here today, and some of the messages that I heard repeated were they didn't believe he was progressive enough. They talked about his lack of progressive ideology. I heard a number of people talk about transportation, and they don't understand what the Southwest Planning Commission does because they don't have anything to do with the potholes out here or the roads, but they're planning major infrastructure projects throughout the 11-county region here in southwestern Pennsylvania, okay? I just think that we set a dangerous precedent when we sit here and vote against members of council who have served honorably, you know, because of something they may have said. My colleague over here, and we worked together many times, you know, on the Board of Elections, but she at times has said that we should riot. She would burn police cars. She called the president judge corrupt in front of her face. She called another sitting judge a prick. I'm not saying this to pick on Bethany. I'm saying we've all said things, okay? But we on this body, anytime you speak, and to the extent that we do, we run the risk of saying something that offends somebody. So I have had the opportunity to know Bob Macy it's the 9th year. When I was first elected in 2015, before the general election even took place, Bob Macy asked me to go for a ride with him around his district. He wanted to show me his district and, you know, how it had suffered. So we went on like a 4.5-hour ride where we drove through McKeesport, Elizabeth Township, Forward, you know, his entire district, where he showed me, you know, why he fights so hard on behalf of the Mon Valley because of the suffering that's taken place there since so many companies and manufacturing facilities have left. So I know that the man has a good heart. You know, I just voted for Councilman Klein for his position on the sanitary authority because I believe it's important that we stand up for the members of council, that we have representatives on this body. So folks, I will be voting for Councilman Macy, and I strongly urge that you folks do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Grisbeck?
I want to start off by saying I do appreciate Councilman Macy's apology at the beginning of the meeting. I will echo, though, some of the comments that we heard from, you know, other speakers, that I think the best time to apologize would have been immediately after making the comments. The second best time probably would have been the following meeting. Third best time, the meeting after that. I'm a bit reticent to fully, I mean, accepting the apology is, I'm not the one that was offended by it, but I think fully appreciating its sincerity. When it's coming at a time when now Mr. Macy is eligible for appointment to a board that he would like to be on. To Councilman DeMarco's point, I'm a very progressive person. I don't really care if Councilman Macy is progressive or not. I do care that he extends the same respect and dignity to all members of council, whether they are immigrants or naturally born to the United States. I personally don't have to deal with people questioning, what my motives are whenever I take actions, and I can't imagine, being someone who is a member of a county who has a very, very low immigrant population and having their intentions being even further taken into question. So, for that reason, I don't think that we should be rewarding those actions with a board appointment. If anything, I think if you go on either end of the spectrum, a censure vote would have been more appropriate than a board appointment. And you mentioned Councilwoman Hallam's comments. I will point out that there was a censure vote attempted for those comments. We're not going down that path. We're not going to censure Mr. Macy, but I don't think a board appointment is appropriate, so I'll be voting no.
Thank you. Councilmember Hallam?
Yeah, just a couple things. I also appreciated the attempt at an apology at the beginning of the meeting. But again, a lot of it focused around how other people reacted to what you said. And I didn't see any accountability whatsoever for the fact that those were your words that you said and your beliefs that you espoused. Going off of what my colleague said about the disruption in the meeting right after the comments, I think that President Katina actually potentially did a favor for Councilman Macy by stopping the conversation then before he dug himself into a deeper hole. We are not attempting to remove Councilmember Macy from council. We are not attempting to even censure Councilmember Macy, which, again, as my colleague so wisely pointed out, was attempted against me for not Islamophobic remarks, not transphobic remarks, not hateful remarks, but kind of like, noticing things that were happening about my remarks. I also think that the best apology is change behavior. And as a public commenter pointed out, there were multiple instances that Councilmember Macy has espoused hateful viewpoints, including the Caitlyn Jenner comment that I personally witnessed, including multiple misogynistic remarks, homophobic remarks, transphobic remarks. And again, there are 1.2 million people in this county. Why are we rewarding someone with such hateful views against people that not only he represents, but that we all represent too? Why are we rewarding that? And so I will very obviously be a no on this. I will not ever vote for Councilman Macy for anything in my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? Councilmember Filiaggi.
Thank you very much, President Katina. I've listened to a lot of the comments today and at the meeting, the appointment review meeting. I'd like to address some of those things and give my take. One thing that was brought up by one of our council members is that we needed a fresh face and suggested that because he himself was a senior citizen, that he is able to comment on the fact that perhaps we need a fresh face in that position, and it's not Bob Macy. But I suggest that we do have a fresh face, and that fresh face is the county executive, Sarah Innamorato. She is the freshest of faces, and she is the person who is actually putting Bob Macy up for this appointment. And it's in her opinion and her fresh face and perspective, and I believe she does have some progressive leaning views as well, that she is reappointing Mr. Macy to this spot. She understands how serious this is and how experience is important in this case. So I would say that is where our fresh face comes in. The second point I would like to make is the concept that a tolerance, mercy, and empathy. As a society, we ask and we are asked to have a rehabilitative-minded position today instead of a punitive position. And I'm hearing a lot of punitive talk and language and punitive-minded feelings. And this doesn't match what some of the people in this group have asked us to do over the period of time. I have highly respect, Corey, I highly respect you. You and Mr. Macy have voted lockstep in the Nippon Steel issue. You also asked us to consider your friend and colleague Manny for the position of the Jail Oversight Board, and we listened. I don't know if you know, but some of us were lobbied to not consider his nomination because he had a record, which he admits to. But you changed hearts and minds because you appealed to us with humanity. And I'm asking people in the group to feel and act the same way. Mr. Macy has apologized. I think, so we need to accordingly give tolerance, mercy, and empathy to a gentleman whose body of work has shown to be productive for the county. I also believe that threats against all public officials are increasing around the country. And when no one raises a finger to restrain the public pile-on, which it does feel like that's in this case because we didn't vote the way you wanted and Mr. Macy is an easy target, it leaves the impression that it can be open season on controversial officials and topics. I am imploring all of my colleagues here to look at the body of work of Councilman Macy. He is a dedicated public official, and judge him not by his words on this occasion of heightened emotions, but look at how his actions have shaped council in a positive and productive way. I will most definitely be a yes vote in support of County Executive Sarah Inamorato's choice for the SPC board, and yes for Bob Macy. Thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Councilmember Klein.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually had a conversation with my colleague, Mr. Macy, about 10 days ago, and I shared with him my thoughts and my concerns. And I would say that I appreciate your words tonight, but I would say that we're talking about a meeting that occurred 50 days ago. And it does appear in this moment, as we're facing a vote on this particular appointment, that it does appear to be an apology that in some way is transactional in nature. And I'm concerned about that as well. I remember that night quite well, as many of you who are in this room do. And it was a night in which great emotion was on display. And so in that evening, those words, what was expressed that evening, were probably felt much more deeply than they might have been on another evening and in a different context. But I am concerned enough about what was said that evening, and I also think about it in the context of what I do in my paying job, and that is I spend a good deal of my time teaching a course in managing diversity in organizations, and I think that certainly plays a part in my thinking and how I try to understand and engage with the world. So I did share my thoughts with Mr. Macy, and I will not be supporting this nomination, this renomination of the board.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening?
Say one more thing.
Go ahead.
Just that I think it is also incredibly racist to use the example of a black man with a criminal record being appointed to the Jail Oversight Board for work that he has earned, work that he pours his life into. Equating that with someone who made racist statements is inherently in itself racist as well. And I would hope that you just didn't take the time to think through that statement before you made it. So I'm going to give you just some time to think about that. I just thought that was absurd and unnecessary.
All right, we're moving on to the vote. Roll call vote, please, Jared.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Betkowski.
No.
Mr. Bonarotti.
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
No.
Ms. Hallam.
No.
Mr. Klein.
No.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
You can't vote.
Vote for himself?
You can't vote, Bob.
I'm sorry, point of order, President Katina. Can we get an opinion on voting for yourself? I know that Councilmember Klein abstained when he was up for an appointment, so.
I've rendered my opinion on this. The Commonwealth Court said that the person can vote for themselves. It is, however, as I've indicated, that under the county ethics code, members should abstain from voting, but them voting for themselves does not void the vote. The resolution of that would be under the ethics code, where there are various provisions for a violation.
Okay, so to clarify, it is not illegal to vote for yourself, it is just potentially unethical.
It's a potential violation of the county ethics code.
Potentially an ethics violation.
Great,
plain and
thank
simple.
you.
Oh, abstain. I'm sorry.
You're changing your vote to an abstention then?
Sure. Well, you know, I want to get along.
Mr. Macy abstains then?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Nacarati Chapkus?
No.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Palmasina?
No.
Ms. Pritzio?
No.
Mr. Walton?
Nick, don't get me started. I've been nice for a couple weeks.
I forgive you.
No, I don't give a damn what you forgive me. Don't get me started. I abstain.
President Katina.
Just please give your, obviously, reason for abstention to the clerk within a week, please. I vote no.
Ayes 5, noes 8, with 2 abstentions. The motion fails.
12967-24.
Approving the appointment of Jamila Dukar to the Regional Asset District Board for a term effective through December 31st, 2028, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Ms. Nacarati Chapkus?
President Katina, the Committee on Appointment Review met on April the 17th, 2024, affirmatively recommended Ms. Dukar to this appointment. I'd like to make that motion.
Second. Motion has been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, does anyone object to a voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. 12983-24.
Approving the appointment of Dora Walmsley to the Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County for a term effective through April 24th, 2029, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Ms. Nacarati Chapkus?
President Katina, the Committee on Appointment Review met and affirmatively recommended Ms. Walmsley to the Redevelopment Authority, and I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone object to a voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. 12984-24.
Approving the appointment of Diamante Walker to the Allegheny County Industrial Development Authority, the Allegheny County Hospital Development Authority, the Allegheny County Higher Education Building Authority, and the Allegheny County Residential Finance Authority for a term effective through April 9th, 2029, and approving the appointment of Diamante Walker to the Authority for Improvements in Municipalities for a term effective through April 9th, 2029, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nacarati Chapkus?
President Katina, the Committee on Appointment Review met and affirmatively recommended Ms. Walker to these authorities, and I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Does anyone object to a voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. 12985-24.
Approving the appointment of Kyle Chittilopoli to the Allegheny County Industrial Development Authority, the Allegheny County Hospital Development Authority, the Allegheny County Higher Education Building Authority, and the Allegheny County Residential Finance Authority for term effective through December 31st, 2028, and approving the appointment of Kyle Chittilopoli to the Authority for Improvements in Municipalities for term effective through December 31st, 2028, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nacarati Chapkus?
President Katina, the Committee on Appointment Review met, affirmatively recommended Mr. Chintolopoli to these authorities. I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Anyone object to a voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries. 12986-24.
Approving the appointment of Michael A. Gable to the Professional Services Review Committee for a term effective through December 31st, 2028, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nacarati Chapkus?
President Katina, the Committee on Appointment Review met and affirmatively recommended Mr. Gable to this committee. I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Is there any discussion? Does anyone object to a voice vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. 12987-24.
Approving the reappointment of Jennifer M. Liptak to the Retirement Board of Allegheny County for a term effective through December 31st, 2028, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Nakaradi Chapkus.
President Katina, the Committee on Appointment Review met, affirmatively recommended Ms. Liptak to the Retirement Board, and I would like to make that motion.
Second. Motion has been made and second. Any discussion? Anyone object to a voice vote?
I do, President Katina. I'd like a
Okay.
roll call.
Okay, roll call vote, please, then, Jared.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Bekowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti.
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
No.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nakaradi Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Mary.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Messina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio. Mr. Walton.
Yes.
President Katina.
No.
Ayes 13, noes 2. Bill passes.
Committee on Assessment Practices for the second reading, 12915-24.
An ordinance of the County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Article 209 of the Administrative Code of Allegheny County entitled Office of Property Assessments, Section 5-20905, entitled Chief Assessment Officer Duties and Responsibilities, in order to establish a mechanism for ensuring continuity in the Chief Assessment Officer position, sponsored by Councilmember Katina.
Thank you. Councilmember Filiaggi?
Thank you. Thank you very much, President Katina and members of council. The Assessment Practices Committee met on April 18, 2024, to reintroduce Bill 12915-24. After quality discussion, the committee voted to move the bill to full council with a neutral recommendation. The record will reflect that this bill was previously referred to committee in February and affirmatively recommended to full council. For logistical reasons, not substantive, the bill was held and re-referred to committee. The bill that appears before us today is the same bill that was affirmatively recommended in February. We chose a neutral recommendation on April 18th to allow time in case someone wanted to introduce an amendment. No amendments have been introduced, and it is the opinion of this chair that none are necessary. Therefore, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote, please, Jared.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Bekowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti.
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nakaradi Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Mary.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Messina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio.
Yes.
Mr. Walton.
No.
President Katina.
Yes.
Ayes 14, noes 1. The bill passes.
Thank you, everyone, for passing this bill. I believe it's a good start forward. So thank you, Councilmember Filiaggi, for forwarding this through. So,
Thank you, members of council.
Committee on Budget and Finance for the second reading, 12999-24.
A resolution of the County of Allegheny amending the Grants and Special Accounts budget for 2024, submission number 02-24, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Councilmember Paul Messina.
Thank you, President Katina. The Budget and Finance Committee met on April 18th and affirmatively recommended this resolution. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call vote, please, Jared.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Bekowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti.
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nakaradi Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Mary.
Yes.
Mr. Paul Messina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio.
Yes.
Mr. Walton.
Yes.
President Katina.
Yes.
Ayes 15, no 0. The bill passes.
Liaison reports. Any liaison reports this evening? Councilmember DeMarco.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Yesterday in Allegheny County, we had a primary election, and the election staff did a phenomenal job, except for a minor glitch in McKees Rocks at the beginning of the day. Most of the rest of the day was pretty much uneventful. The mail-in and absentee ballots that had been submitted prior to yesterday had all been opened, extracted, and were in the process of being scanned by 1:30 p.m. Those workers were sent home. The turnout was exceptionally low. It only reached 32% on the Democrat side and just under 27% on the Republican side. We'd like to see more engagement from the folks that are out there. Mail-in and absentee ballots are an excellent opportunity for you to take and weigh in and have your voice heard, even if you choose not to go to the polls. But, all in all, I want to give kudos to the election staff, the division. They did a phenomenal job, and we can't thank them enough for the hard work they do, and all of the 6,870 poll workers that were brought on board and worked the polls on a very long day, and what turned out to be boring, I guess, in many cases because of the low turnout in our communities. So thank you all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other, Councilman Futulis?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, Sam and Bethany. There was, I would call another glitch that maybe nobody's recognized yet, but there was a deadline for asking for a mail-in ballot. My wife and my children actually applied early and got no response, and they found out that the last day that they could respond was, I believe, the 16th or 17th of April. The ballots didn't come to our house until Saturday, 2 days before the election. So what had happened, my wife and my kids had to individually go to Boyce campus to drop the ballots off because you couldn't take all three. You had to be individual. But I think it would be in a favor of this county to move the deadline up further so that people can get them ballots on time so they can turn them in. I hope that's been addressed.
Mr. President?
Go ahead.
Councilman Patolis, that is state law. That is not county law. State law says that you have up until 14 days prior to an election to be able to register, and up to 7 days prior to an election to be able to request a mail or absentee ballot. And I'm glad that your family took advantage of the ballot return sites that we had here in Allegheny County, and they were able to take and return them there. But, that unfortunately, that does seem to happen. I know, and I'm sure my colleague probably gets the same thing as I do. We get a lot of emails here as the election approaches from folks that are, hey, I didn't get my ballot, or I'm desperate. That's why planning ahead is the best thing, in my opinion. Apply now for your mail-in ballot for November when it comes, or if it doesn't come soon after the county announces that those first ballots have been mailed, start looking into it then instead of waiting till the end and, in which you're in a tight situation and you want to vote, but the ballots haven't been sent to you. Try getting ahead of it.
Some people actually didn't realize that they didn't get through or didn't get it, and it was a lot of last minute. Quite a few.
Well, we try to avoid those, but yes, but overall, they did a great job.
I'd like to make a comment if I could. In this election, and this is a conversation that I'm going to have with the county executive, but I also want to share with the two members of council that are members of the elections board. I believe that drop-off sites for ballots are important. I think it expands the opportunity for folks to ensure that their votes are counted. In 2020, the previous county executive did drop-off sites for the general election. And they were in a wide range of communities across Allegheny County. And we talk about intentionality, purpose, and design. And I'm not going to make an accusation one way or another. But there were a number of drop-off sites, and none, not one, was located in an African-American community. Now, we talk about intentionality. We talk about our behavior. That could be construed as being racist. I'm not going to make an accusation and say it was. I'm going to say that it was a mere oversight. But there's an opportunity to fix it. And I'm going to have a conversation with the county executive and ask that she amends and make sure that that is done. And maybe we can do it as opposed to one day, maybe we can do it on multiple occasions. So there are a host of opportunities to ensure that certain things occur. So to you, Nick, I say this, and I could say that because of your behavior, and your engagement and your lack of engagement, could be construed as racist. But again, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say that we can fix things. Let's fix it.
Mr. President?
Councilmember DeMarco?
I know that my colleague and I would be happy to sit down and talk to Mr. Walton, as we look towards the fall here on other things.
I want to talk to my colleague because she calls folks pricks. She calls folks pricks. She's very intentional in her behavior. So, I don't have anything in common with her.
Well, Councilman Walton, I'll be happy to talk to you, but I would say something. You mentioned that you would reach out to the county executive, and I think it's important. All these decisions that we're talking about need to be made by the entire Board of Elections.
Yes.
These aren't arbitrary decisions that are made by one person. So, but we'll look at this. And just one thing to know, this wasn't for one day. You had 6 locations that were operating in Allegheny County over 2 weekends, so a total of 4 days. So that's the access that people had. And on the other side, if you look at it from a return on investment standpoint, those six sites over both weekends, total 4 days, there was less than 2,800 mail-in ballots returned.
And that's interesting because in 2020, on those 3 single days, or wait, was it, the county manager may be able to correct me, but 4 years ago, was it 3 days or was it was Friday and it was Saturday and Sunday? It was Saturday and Sunday, 3 days.
These were Saturday and Sundays as well, sir.
Yeah. If I remember right, the numbers total somewhere around 28,000.
The difference was in 2020, we were in the midst of a pandemic, and folks we were afraid of long lines at the polls on election day. Mail-in ballots have been requested by many other folks. I guess what I'm pointing out here is just what our election folks did. Our elections division performed admirably with what we asked them to do. Things, were very well there. People can make a judgment on whether the 2,800 ballots collected, what were worth the cost. You had county employees as well as police officers at each of these locations. And we could talk about it for the fall, but I just wanted to give the people a report today based upon what took place yesterday.
I don't think that, and I'm not speaking to anything negative about the activity. I think it's important to do, to expand in every way possible people's ability to cast ballots. My one concern, as I mentioned before, not one drop-off site was centered in an African-American community, and that's my only concern.
But we had, the county office building was open in addition to all of these other sites, but, I'm certainly will take that under advisement. Thank you very much, Councilman Walton.
Councilmember DeMarco, quick question.
Sure.
Would you be able to find out, I'm just curious how much this cost us, and if we could find out how much any of this costs.
I'm certain we will be asking here before our next BOE meeting.
Okay. I was just curious. I'm always curious about the money. So, Thank you, Councilman DeMarco. Any other liaison reports? No other liaison reports. We'll move on to new business ordinances and resolutions. 13027-24.
An ordinance of the County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending the Administrative Code of Allegheny County, Article 210, entitled Assessment Standards and Practices, in order to provide for periodic countywide reassessments as required by Commonwealth law, sponsored by Councilmember Hallam.
Thank you. That's going to go to the Committee on Assessment Practices. New business motions, 13028-24.
A motion of the Council of Allegheny County authorizing a public hearing pursuant to Section 801.05 of the Administrative Code on Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024 at 5 o'clock p.m. in the Gold Room of the Allegheny County Courthouse, sponsored by Councilmember Katina.
The focus of this public hearing would we're obviously facing in court, or I should say the administration is facing in court, a possible reassessment that's being challenged or that's being proposed by the City of Pittsburgh Public Schools. My goal by having this public hearing is to gather information and be proactive to try to position this council to be informed about what the impending tsunami may be coming possibly down the pike through a court-ordered reassessment. I have serious concerns about making sure that we're as prepared as possible, because in prior years, the reassessment didn't go as smooth as it probably could have. And if it's coming before us, I want to make sure we're as prepared as possible. I'd like to invite experts in. I ask all of my fellow colleagues and council members to think of who you would like invited to this hearing so we can bring them in to receive expert testimony from these people on this possible pending reassessment, so we can get answers to any questions that we may have about anything going on, about any concerns that we have. Basically, this council needs to perform their due diligence in what is possibly approaching us. And I'm not sure what the future holds, but I want us to be prepared as much as possible by doing this. So that's why I'm offering this motion tonight. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I just have a comment. I want to say after we, pass this and set this, anybody who is watching, anyone who is in the audience, if you want to come learn about reassessments, if you want to give comment about reassessments, please, I implore you to do that. We really do want to hear from you, and we want everybody to learn from the same information that we're learning from so that we're all on the same page about it. So I'm a hard yes on this.
So you're making the second?
Oh, yeah, second.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm hard yes on this, and I hope that everyone else will come, and it's a really sexy topic, so please come on down on May 22nd and learn about reassessments. Thanks.
Any other comment? Hearing none, Jared, please take a roll. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, we might have to have so many people commit to having a public hearing.
I think it's me and Suzanne who committed.
What's that?
Three people already committed.
I didn't know. I didn't hear that.
It's in the actual motion. This is the abbreviated motion.
All right.
Just roll call.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Bekowski?
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti?
Yes.
Mr. DeMarco?
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi?
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis?
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck?
Yes.
Ms. Hallam?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Macy?
Yes.
Ms. Nacarati Chapkus?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes.
Mr. Paul Messina?
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio?
Yes.
Mr. Walton?
Yes.
President Katina?
Yes.
Ayes 15, no 0. Motion passes.
Thank you. Notification of contracts?
We've not.
None? Public comment on general items?
We do have a few. The first is Regis Ryan.
Not here.
Next would be Alex Pagoreski.
Not here.
Anthony Moreno.
Not here.
Mohammed Hamad.
He's here.
Hi, Mohammed. You can come right up here.
Apparently, Beth has a problem. What's her name? And it's my generation.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammed Hamad. I'm a United States service member. I'm in the United States Air Force, and I would like to start off by saying all the comments that I have are of my own opinion and not of the Air Force. We're kind of told to always say that when we're talking public. But I just wanted to bring up a topic about my friend. Unfortunately, he can't really be here, and I'll explain why. But I'd like to give light on what's kind of the stuff that's happening in Palestine and my brothers and sisters who are suffering over there, my Muslim brothers and sisters, and of course my Christian friends over there in Gaza. So I have a friend who is Palestinian American. He was born here in America, and he travels to Palestine all the time. And I always tell him, like, come on, it's a little dangerous, like, but he tells me, like, that's where his home is, you know, like, that's where his family lives. And I understand where he's coming from because all my family is in Lebanon. Only my immediate family is here, and it can get very lonely. So I know a lot of people here have family here, their whole family here, so please don't take it for granted. Family is very important. But I wanted to say that he plays soccer professionally for a college. I'm not going to name him because I don't want it to be all over, well, you know, people coming after him and stuff. But he plays professional soccer for a college. And one time when he went to Palestine, I told him, like, I kind of had a hunch he shouldn't go. And this was all before October 7th. I had a hunch he shouldn't go. He went anyways, and this is kind of when things were starting to heat up. He was shot in the leg by an Israeli military officer. He was shot with an M4A1. It's an American rifle with a .556 NATO round. These are rounds and dollars that are coming out of our taxpayer money to be causing this. He came from soccer practice. He was heading home. Israeli intelligence found out that he played soccer and shot him specifically in the leg so that he could not play here anymore. And this is kind of why we ask for a ceasefire. He's from the West Bank, which is, as you know, it's a separate landmass from Gaza. And so calling a ceasefire would really only help Gaza. The people who are still under military apartheid law, as we know, West Bank is under a military occupation where these people don't really have rights. Thankfully, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big 2A Second Amendment supporter. I feel very safe here in America knowing that if any burglar were to come in my home or to shoot me or try to kill me in my sleep or whatever, I can protect myself and defend my family. Over there, they don't have those rights because they're under military occupation. For example, there's a loophole in Israeli law that allows you to take a Palestinian's home. And there's a very viral video of a man from New York, his name is Jacob, who stole a Palestinian family's home who's been living there for thousands and thousands of years. And when the family told him, "Don't steal my land, this is my house, Jacob," he said, "If I don't steal it, somebody else will." So this is what I'm saying. I'm asking for, if anything comes across your desk, please vote for ceasefire, and please, we cannot keep defending and giving our money to these people who are attacking our own citizens.
If you can wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
All right.